What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about why I am getting Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. And may I say, the more I make videos on this game, the easier that title just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? This is a game that I am super excited for. And when I think about February, there's a lot of games in February. I think this game is my most anticipated. I continue just every passing day to get more and more ready. And that's what this video is to do, right? I want to talk about some of the reasons why this game excites me and why it's obviously and easily a day one purchase. So let's start with just Majima, right? Being able to jump into this man's shoes again. No, honestly, I said this when it was first announced, and I do think they've said a couple of the right things, as we've gotten closer. I am still hoping for a little bit more, and I'm just hoping that we get a really good story with him. Now, I understand the situation that you're in. I understand the character that he kind of now is, but I think, and again, these are things that they have somewhat said, there is depth to this guy, okay? And I mean, he's a legendary character. Maybe not as, you think of Kiryu and Ichiban and stuff, but I personally love Majima. I think he's a great character that's had moments to shine and then generally kind of gets pushed aside, but he always has this aura to him, right, when he's on screen. So I, for one, am just very excited to be able to go into his life. Now, I think because of the amnesia thing, right, you have room to kind of play around with this guy. You can do the craziness, and he's also kind of an unreliable narrator, which I find pretty interesting, that you can do some, I mean, they already normally do wild things, but you can do even wilder things, and you could just say, well, he's telling the story, right? So you don't even know what's true, what's not true. On top of that, again, that emotional depth, you have that. And you also have, well, number one, you have a guy who has dealt with a lot of stuff and is in some ways even putting on an act with this. On the other hand, even if you don't believe that theory, though, this is a guy that has a blank slate, right? If you have amnesia, you don't even remember kind of where you came from. And it seems to be the arc that he's going to go through. Doesn't really remember who he is or where he came from. You can kind of build him up. So the connection, I believe, to Noah, I'm pretty sure, is the boy in the game. I'm interested to see what they can do with him. I know it's not going to be this super grounded, at the same time, I've said this before, you think about the man who erased his name, and Kiryu at the end watching the video is, in my opinion, the most emotional I've ever been. I didn't cry, but I got close in any of the Yakuza games, period. Any of them. That's the most emotional they've ever done, and it was in a spin-off game. Okay, so a game like this, I mean, I guess that's kind of setting expectations kind of high, but they can do some very powerful stuff. I don't want to discount it, and I will not. In fact, I will even maybe expect more, even though it is a spin-off game, okay? So Majima is a huge reason, not just because he's cool, but because I think you can tell a wild story, have the humor, have that kind of energy, but also have that grounded, emotional type side to him that we haven't seen all that much, although actually when we have seen it, it's been freaking elite, right? They haven't done many things better than it when they did do it. Okay, that's one. Number two, I would say, this kind of off again, on again, the gameplay style, right? Now, I can flow with whatever they want to throw at me. I think they have achieved, honestly, peak turn-based gameplay, and I never thought that I would, going into the series and playing it, I played so many of these games kind of back-to-back, I didn't know how I would feel once I got to 7, in my playthrough, and that was really good. And then, Infinite Wealth, while I have my gripes on it, the gameplay is phenomenal. I mean, in terms of that turn-based stuff, they nail it, but I also love the brawler, kind of style, and again, that's why I've liked, the man who erased his name, back forth. I'm excited for this one too, right? Sea Dog, Mad Dog, high tempo, energetic. I mean, being able to board and fight people there, having the bosses. It's just good to, I think, kind of mix it up. And on top of again, just going back and forth with gameplay styles, you also have a guy who we have experienced his fighting technique before, and when we fought against him, we've experienced it, right? But now we get to fight as him, yet again, and so they're throwing in the Sea Dog stuff. So I'm excited for that, and then I'm kind of leaving, the most important thing potentially for last, the pirate side of things. I am a very big Black Flag fan, but I'm an even bigger pirate fan. Pirates of the Caribbean 3 is my favorite movie of all time. I love water, so the sea is right up my alley. Ship fights, I mean, oh my dear God, you can't do much better than that, I think, just in general, and this game has all of it. There's freaking pirate lords in this game, guys, okay? Pirate lords. So you have that, you have the ship combat. It is, I think, based off what they've shown, a little bit more arcadey, a little bit more, I want to say dumbed down, but I don't mean that like in a negative way. I think I would probably just stick with arcadey, right? Like it's got a simple kind of style to it, but one that I think is going to be really effective in everything that we've seen of that ship stuff. The Coliseum, where you're going to be able to go through kind of rounds and taking on different ships. The weaponry, on your ships is freaking nuts. And see, that's the thing that I think can really set this game apart, I guess, on top of everything else. Can it be a pirate game? Yes. And will it remind me of Black Flag maybe in some ways? Yes. I think it's going to do so many things just different. Just being more arcadey alone is going to make it more different. The weaponry, the crew stuff and being able to bond with the crew and doing those activities, trying to level them up and place them where they belong. Like there's just so much to it that I get really, really excited for. Of course, like I mentioned earlier with the combat, boarding, something that Skull and Bones, I was going to joke and say forgot, but it's not even funny anymore because they didn't forget. They just purposely didn't do it. I obviously need that in my life, right? You destroy a ship, you board it, you fight their captain, you fight their crew, you move on. Honestly, okay, another thing that I probably should have just led with, these games are incredibly consistent. And when I say consistent, I mean consistently great, not even good. They are normally very, very good. And when you have kind of your off game, they're not even bad games. They're just not up to that elite status of the other ones, right? You might have your personal favorites, but they're all kind of really good. It's just like which one you put in order. That's where this series is to me. They really have they ever missed? I mean, like Yakuza 3 to me, I know this is probably crazy because I've seen some Yakuza 3 elitists out there. It's a good game, but in my opinion, it is the weakest one. But it's still a good game, right? So like that's kind of the thing with all these games. I think this is a very safe February game for me, right? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I don't think it's out by the time you guys are watching this video. That game I feel like can kind of go either way. I think it's also probably going to be really, really good, but technically there's a little wiggle room, right? Something like Avowed, I think is not guaranteed to be amazing, right? I think a lot of these February games have chances to all be good. That's why February is so exciting to me. All of these games can be really, really good, but there's a swing, okay? And when I think about this game, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, I think it's low is just a great game. And that's if they do a lot of things wrong. It's still going to be like a great game. At its best, we might look at it and say, yep, that's one of the best Yakuza games they've made. That's kind of where I think the range is. So I don't know. I'm very excited for pretty much every reason I just said. And I got to be honest, talking about it, in the way that I just did for this video, makes me even more excited. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you're getting the game or not, make sure as always you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.